Wait for it. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Full 90 Gooner podcast. It has been quite a hiatus, quite a break for the squad here, but we are back, and we have not been sitting idly on our hands like Arsene Wenger does during a 5-1 deficit in the 75th minute. We've been busy here at the Full 90 Gooner. As you can tell, I am not your boy Mario. I am your boy Ryan. I'm also joined by my fellow lads, AJ and Elliot. Boys, welcome, and welcome back.
Yeah,
big up.
We are back, and as I mentioned, we've been doing some work at Full 90 Gooner, and that work has come to fruition. And I am proud to announce we're going to do some administrative. We're going to pay some of our bills here before we get into the Arsenal content, but we're proud to announce that we have our first partnership and sponsor here at Full 90 Gooner podcast. And that sponsor is with footballheads.com. So you're probably asking yourself, what is footballheads.com? Well, I'm going to tell you, they are an apparel brand bringing you the freshest gear to wear with their cool and urban designs. Some people may even call it dank. They may call it boss. I've been told, I've heard, I don't know. It's an apparel brand. You look fresh while rocking hats and T-shirts from your favorite club. So we're talking Arsenal, obviously. We're talking Juventus, Real Madrid. We're talking Chelsea, even Manchester United. So I have a Invincibles hat. There's an Invincibles range that commemorates the 2003-2004 Arsenal side. It's a black snapback with gold lettering. It's fresh. It's dank. It's lit. The hat is actually lit. I can confirm that. It's a fact. So right now, Football Heads, they have some great deals on the site. If you go to footballheads.com, right now you get 50% off shipping on your order, or get free shipping if you get 2 or more items. And for the Arsenal fans out there, who I'm sure 99.9% of you listening, you can get 15% off of the Invincibles collection by typing in full 90 at checkout. That's 15% off your entire Invincibles order. So check it out, footballheads.com. Sign up for a newsletter. They got great new stuff. They're introducing new lines every single day, new designs, super fresh, urban, hot, lit, dope football gear. Check it out, footballheads.com. Okay, so boys, how do we feel that now we are officially a sponsored podcast? Big time, right?
Big time.
Big up.
Big ups.
Okay, it feels dank. Yes, AJ is a certified young person, so when he says something, it should be cool. I mean, I can't. Elliot and I cannot co-sign on that because we are officially olds, but AJ is in the know. So, anyways, what are we here for? We're here to talk about Arsenal, and it's going to be a cathartic experience. Hopefully today, we don't have a host. We're going to do this more of a roundtable format since our fearless leader Mario is out for the time being. He's a bit short on match fitness, so we're gonna pick up the slack for him. A lot to talk about since we've last been on air, right, boys? I mean, we've got the Liverpool match, we've got the Bayern match, we've got a whole lot of off-field controversy and situations that are happening. So I guess the first topic we can just kind of talk about. We're not going to talk about the matches because Liverpool's been a week out, and Bayern really not much to talk about there. About the match itself, because it was a dead rubber anyways, and we got humped 5-1 again. So I guess I kind of want to just start with looking at tactics and team selection. Starting with the Liverpool match. Again, big question big talking point was Alexis, who obviously was benched. And we'll get into that, kind of what that means for the future. But obviously the result, how the result played out, the team lacked energy, they lacked a purpose, they lacked a clear game plan. We're absolutely ripped apart. AJ, just start with you. Your thoughts on just that formation, that style of play, and that kind of lack of a clear plan. Is that something we're going to keep seeing the rest of the season, especially in the league, or do you think, especially after this Liverpool defeat, Wenger will realize that's not the way to go and make some changes?
Well, yeah, it definitely looked like you said, like we didn't really have a plan. We weren't really sure what we were going out there set to do. I don't think um, Wenger was thinking about it a few days before, thinking Giroud was going to be the one to start for him. But I mean, once that whole Sanchez situation, whatever actually happened between either him and Wenger or him and another teammate, I've heard different stories from different places, but clearly didn't want to start Sanchez. So Giroud comes in up front, and I can see what we were trying to do in a sense of having Giroud and Welbeck on the pitch to get crosses in, to be able to have these guys to get the ball. But the problem is we were so penned in against Liverpool that we didn't really seem like we had that much of an outlet going forward. There was not enough pace going forward. As much as I thought Welbeck's goal was great. He did seem a little bit out of the game for the majority of it, and then obviously Giroud was quite stagnant. So yeah, it just didn't look like we really had an idea, or we were drilled into what we were supposed to be doing. Even just looking at like the heat maps of where people are at, and it's all kind of all over the place. There was no real cohesion to our team for that game.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the MO for this whole team this entire year is what is our identity? What are we trying to do defensively, offensively? It seems like players who are in bad form, lacking confidence, or just simply not performing continue to get selected match in, match out. I'm thinking specifically of Francis Coquelin, Alex Iwobi, and Elliot, looking at just going to the second half, obviously Alexis comes on right at halftime for Francis Coquelin. We move Chamberlain to the middle of the field, and automatically we look a completely different team. We are on the front foot. We are putting Liverpool under pressure. We're playing, fluid attacking football. How much of that was, in your opinion, Alexis coming on, and how much of that was Coquelin going off and moving Chamberlain to a central position?
I think it was more Coquelin going off rather than Alexis necessarily coming on. I think it's kind of farcical to say, we're going to put Welbeck and Giroud up top in a 4-4-2, and we're going to play direct or whatever. Because when you right at kickoff, you just saw it was going to be Giroud up top by himself and Welbeck playing on the left. So you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, that was all BS. And then we've heard the stories. AJ alluded to it. We've heard the rumors. We've heard the stories. Not sure what happened on the training pitch that day. If
we'll
Alexis,
talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about it later. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm the gun.
No. I'm just. No, you're right. You're right. I'm just saying we'll get into it in further detail later. But yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we've seen the Ox have some pretty decent performances in central midfield, and Alexis coming on, certainly it adds. I mean, he's been our best player. I mean, point blank, we're just going to say it. He's been our best player all season, and so his quality coming on the pitch is work rate. It's really good, and he provided the assist that got Welbeck the goal. But by that point, 2-0 down. We've been pressed to death. We weren't really putting much together, and it really Arsene basically showed, I'm not sure what he was thinking, to be honest, because if I know we're going to talk about Alexis later, but he basically, by bringing Alexis on, whatever he was doing to send a message to him in the first half, basically reinforced to Alexis Sanchez that he is probably the most important player on our team, and he can probably do whatever the heck he wants. But also, quick point, AJ, no one asked you how you're doing today.
Dude, not too good at all, man. Not too good, let me tell you. There's some shit that's been going down even outside of Arsenal that's definitely not too good.
Well, I'm here for you, buddy. Don't
Thank
worry
you,
about
man.
that. Okay?
Thank you.
The struggle of a college co-ed is very real.
I know. God, he's almost 21, folks. Real world problem is hitting him.
We don't want to discount your emotions, AJ. We respect those, and we're here for you. We're here for you.
Thanks.
Also, for all those listeners out there, AJ is going to be doing a special edition Full 90 Gunnar podcast on the night of his 21st birthday. So get excited about that. It's going to be pretty banterific.
Live stream bar hopping. Wow.
Live stream bar hopping. With
I actually
AJ.
will maybe hit you guys up on my 21st, though. We'll see. That'd be pretty funny.
You mean your best podcast in podcast history. Okay.
Yeah. Getting back on topic before Elliot just derailed us there for a good cause, but and transitioning into that same point you were discussing about what was Wenger's goal and benching Alexis and bringing on. I think it speaks to a bigger point of how his messages that he's tried to come across as the manager of this club, as a steward of this club, have been just completely confusing in his team selection, in his tactics, and in his attempt to discipline the best player of the team. Like you said, you either go all the way or you don't. And again, we'll go into that further. But I want to transition now into the Bayern match. And so we talked about how Coquelin came out. We looked better. We looked like we had an identity. We had some fluidity. And playing Bayern, now the match, the tie was over. I don't think anyone in their right mind expected Barcelona type miracle to happen. It wasn't going to happen. But I think there were some positives to take away from that match, even though we lost 5-1. That's hard to imagine. But the positives that I took are that he employed a 3-man midfield, and to me, those 3 men in midfield are our best 3 options at those positions, and that was Xhaka sitting deep, flanked by Ramsey and Coquelin, who were kind of alternating on who was playing a little bit deeper, closer to Xhaka, and who was making forward runs, supporting the attack. I thought, obviously, the first half, we go into the halftime leading 1-0 on a Theo goal. And, of course, everything goes to shit as soon as the red card, and, then the floodgates open. But is that, do you got, AJ, are you as upbeat as I am that formation, the 4-3-3, with in particular really focusing on Xhaka, Ramsey, and Chamberlain, excuse me, that's got to be the way to go for the rest of the year, right? Like that clearly, it's obvious, or will Wenger resort to a Coquelin base midfield again?
No, I think the thing is like, I know we're going to be pretty dire on this podcast, but we do have to be honest that we were quite positive for that entire first half against Bayern. I mean, we were 1-0 up by the end of the half. Like you said, all the midfielders were working really well. So I think Wenger has seen that, even in his press conferences. I know he's always positive, but he was especially like, look, we actually played pretty well. We were just unfortunate and basically fell apart towards the last 20, 30 minutes of the game, which is accurate. So
part, did we ever?
Yeah, did we ever? Oh my God! But I mean, there are positives to look at in that 3-man midfield, and I do think Wenger has to go forward with that, because we saw Xhaka looked less exposed because Chamberlain and Ramsey at least work back way more than like an Ozil would. They're a lot more mobile as well than Xhaka. So Xhaka didn't really have to. He wasn't put under pressure as much as he normally is when he's the only one on the ball, nobody's near him, and he doesn't really have the agility to turn and get out of tight positions. But because we had that 3-man midfield, I definitely felt a lot more calm. I think I saw some stat today from Squawka or something that said that Chamberlain had 10 dribbles in the game against Bayern, which was the most dribbles completed in any Champions League game this season, which just for a game we lost 5-1 is pretty fucking incredible. So
yeah, I mean his first half performance, I mean he looked, he was just riding high on confidence. He was picking the ball up in tight spaces, spraying out wide. He was running forward, carrying the ball forward when there was space. I mean he looked at home in that position, and I've always been skeptical of him playing in a midfield role. I didn't think he was tidy enough on the ball and had the vision, had the wherewithal to play in tight spaces. But again, if you're surrounding him with Xhaka and Ramsey, it as you mentioned, to Xhaka, it's going to expose him a little bit less and give him a little more room to roam. So
and it's weird. I'm not sure if he is like, because it's weird because I feel the exact same as you. I definitely never really thought of him as a midfielder. I just thought he was too liable. He lost the ball on the wing a lot, so I'm like, oh my god, imagine this guy in midfield. He would be terrible. But it's weird how, for some reason, now that he's been put in midfield, it almost seems like I'm not sure if he's like he realizes he can't screw up as much, so he doesn't, or what it is. But like he seems to be so much more calm on the ball than when he plays on the wing or that he's played in previous games.
I think he's.
You know what it is. Go ahead, Elliot.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, this is a Ryan Hennick basketball analogy I'm going to throw out right now, but I think he's a volume player in the sense, like in basketball, you have a player that needs to touch the ball a lot. He needs to be, either involved in the offense. I was
just going to say that. You read my mind.
There he is.
Love it.
See, same page on full 90 Gooners. But I think Ox on the wing, he like every time he gets the ball, he's trying to like make something happen or like, really attack down the right-hand side and then like put a great ball in or beat two players off the dribble. And he's just trying to, I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself because he's like, I'm only going to get 7 of these, chances a game. But in midfield, I think, especially having a player like Xhaka and having someone like Ramsey next to him, he knows that the ball's going to come to him a lot. And he's going to have to work with those two players and he's going to have to push forward and he might make mistakes, but he's going to have, he might have the ball like 25 times a game. So, he can afford to be a little bit more cowboy-ish.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think as the more touches he gets, the more comfortable and confident he gets, and that's only going to benefit him. And I think that's a fantastic point, if I may say so myself. So hopefully Wenger, Wenger learns that Coquelin came on the pitch. Again, it's harsh to criticize him. We were a man down. He was kind of playing a modified center back, and we did get absolutely torn apart. And there were some other issues from that. Alexis gets subbed off. He was seen laughing with Petr Cech. I saw a lot of people kind of knee-jerk reactions saying, "Oh, I can't believe he's laughing when you're losing 5-1." I actually saw something that the timing of his laugh actually corresponded with there was not a streaker, but a pitch invader. At that same moment, the pitch invader was running around being an idiot. Cameras pan to Alexis and Cech, and that's what they're actually giggling about. So I'm not gonna go full conspiracy and say he was happy that we were losing and he was just laughing. He doesn't care. No. I've seen enough from him on the pitch in terms of his effort to I think he does care about winning. So that do you guys have anything to add about the Alexis laugh gate?
Yeah, I don't know what AJ thinks, but to me it seemed like, and it wasn't a laugh like, haha, I'm laughing at how badly, we're doing or that I want us to lose, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it was more of a, like, holy flip. Like, can you even believe this? And so he's probably looking at that pitch invader and being like, oh, something else. Like, what a night this is. Like he's kind of in disbelief. He's in shock. He's shell-shocked. He's like, of course, like, this is what a night this has been.
Yeah. Listen, everyone reacts to adversity, and I sometimes do that. I've done that a lot with Arsenal. I'm not a player. I'm not on hundreds of thousands a week, but when we're getting our ass kicked, I sometimes like kind of just laugh because it's like it's almost too hard to believe that it's farcical. It's comical. So I don't think his intent was malicious or disrespectful, but everyone's entitled to read into that as they will. So speaking of Alexis, while we're talking about the controversial figure that is the new Van Persie, as I call him, or as he's about to be. Okay, well, let's talk about it. He gets benched. There's reports come out, whether you believe Arsene Wenger that nothing happened, or the multiple stories that somehow many newspapers all got at the same time, that there was a training ground bust up involving Aaron Ramsey is the name I've heard, and then followed by Koscielny, who then Alexis apparently stormed off the pitch. Koscielny followed him, and there was some words and an argument in the locker room apparently afterwards. So this is the reason, according to sources, that Alexis was benched. I guess AJ, start with you. I guess kind of twofold. I'm not going to talk, if he should have benched him, because clearly he bottled that decision by bringing him on at halftime. I think everyone can agree with that. But is Alexis getting mad, storming off the pitch, being upset? We don't know why he was upset. It could have been, he's upset with his current situation. He's upset with the team. They're playing bad. It could have been something in training. Maybe, he got tackled hard and he didn't take too kindly to it. We don't know. It's safe to probably assume, though, with his kind of behavior, his maybe less than committed behavior on the pitch than usual, that he's probably not too happy with the position of the club. And I don't blame him. I would be as well. Is this a bad thing that there was a training ground bust up? First of all, AJ, was it a bad thing? And do you agree that this is a sign that he's absolutely going to leave the club, and that these stories were leaked by the club to kind of get the fans on their side to paint him as the villain almost?
Well, to answer the second question really quickly first, I think there's no way that the club itself went out and tried to do that, because I think they're scared of life without Alexis, like a lot of us fans are. But
I'll counter that, but go ahead and finish. I disagree at all. Go ahead.
But like the thing is I don't think it's bad to have a bust up in training, because like we've heard from all the pundits before, especially all the Invincible era people, and not just our team, but I mean that kind of era, the Rio Ferdinands, all those types of people. We've heard all of them say, look, I wasn't best friends with all my teammates. We had a lot of arguments, but look, we won X amount of titles, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be best friends. Steve Bold, Tony Adams weren't best friends, but they were one of the best defensive partnership, that we've ever seen. So I don't think in that sense that it's necessarily that bad. But I think because we've talked about this on this before on the pod, about how we're such a close-knit group, so that when we do have these kind of bust-ups, it is kind of a little more out there, like Alexis gets benched, and then Theo comes out and says, yeah, I've never seen our squad like so ununited before and kind of disjointed, or whatever he said. But, I think it's blown out of proportion a little bit. I guess, obviously, like you said, we don't really know what the actual incident was. But I don't think that this bust up necessarily is an indication that Alexis is first or going to go, because I just think he probably will go, more based on what I've seen on the pitch from him of the last 10 games.
Yeah, Elliot, one thing that makes me shake my head and question the sanity of a lot of Arsenal fans is one of the biggest gripes within Arsenal supporters is that this team is soft. They don't fight. They don't do the dirty work. They don't show that grit and steel, whatever cliche you want to use. But as soon as somebody gets pissed off in training and storms out and isn't happy with what's going on within the team for whatever reason, the same Arsenal fans want to criticize him because he's not a team guy and he's selfish and he thinks he's bigger than the club. You can't have it both ways. So which is it? Do you want players who fight and could potentially get into fights with other teammates during training, or do you want everybody to sing Kumbaya to get along and be 13 points back from a title chase?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I think again we have the mind meld ESPN thing going on right now, but I was thinking this, and it's certainly shown on the pitch, but this is soft FC right now. This is not Arsenal FC. This is soft as fuck FC. And sorry to curse for all you younger listeners, but I mean, we talk about Hector, and Ryan's been going off about Hector on our WhatsApp group, but you just see a guy that is like a little fairy boy at right back, and I mean, he's certainly got talent and the kid can play, but you see him loose out on some of these physical challenges. These guys that are just bitching him around. They can push him away and get position on him like nothing. And it just seems like his long hair don't care thing is not working. And so getting back to what happened on the training ground, Ryan, you asked me a very specific question. I want the types of players that will get in dust-ups at training and then be grown-ass men about it and stay at training. What's this, like, get into, like, a scrap and then, like, you walk off the pitch at training?
Yeah, good point.
Like, these are grown men making, like, big-ass paychecks. This is your job. And, like, you don't have to be buddies with each other. You don't have to be the super tight team that everyone, like, hangs out after you leave training and, you know, you guys, like, go walk your dogs together with, like, your wags all the time. I don't care about that necessarily, because I think you can do it either way. You can have a super tight team that hangs out after training or after the matches, or you can also, there's a balance there. And I think most importantly, you need to have guys that are responsible and that are grown men and that aren't going to be this Instagram, Snapchat type players that you see. And I mean, let's be honest, everyone in professional football is Instagramming and Snapchatting and whatever. I mean, you see Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar. I don't think you have any questions about those two guys and what they are aspiring to do as players, right?
Yeah, they're killers. They're absolute killers.
They're killers.
Yeah.
And you see them on freaking social media all the time, right? So I think we need to grow some freaking cojones and get in dust-ups, but act like you give a shit, and on the pitch, reflect that.
Yeah,
and it comes from the manager too.
Yes, exactly. That
was culture at the club and everything.
Exactly what I was just going to transition to. This club is a culture of non-confrontation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it's a country club. It's easy. It's comfortable. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's nice. There's banter. There's lads. There's this and that, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's important to team building and having chemistry on and off the pitch. It's very important. But you've got to. I've never been a part of or heard about a championship caliber team that doesn't have conflict. And the difference is when you have conflict, it's how you resolve it. It's okay to have conflict, but like you said, Alexis just walking off the pitch and kind of quitting and for whatever reason, that's not how you resolve it. That's not how you then you take it out on each other right there when it happens on the training pitch and you move forward. But here's AJ to your initial point. Here's why I think this story was planted by Arsenal Football Club, because here's why. Here's how you know it is. Whenever you have multiple sources pick up on the same exact story, it wasn't just one. It wasn't just one journalist. This is multiple, right? That is a clear indication that this was a constructed narrative, carefully leaked out to these certain football journalists exactly at the same exact time. How else would they all get it at the same time? Because what they're doing, and they've done this before now. They've done this with Van Persie. They've done this with Henry, Fabregas, you name it. All the stars that have left, they've all of a sudden you see the narrative now. Now Alexis is our best player by a mile. It's not even close. You can talk about his faults. So he plays selfish. He gives the ball away. He tries to go one against the world. That's fair. But you can't argue his impact on the field with this club. And so what the club is doing now, they're trying to, I think, paint him in a bad light. And you see it. The Arsenal fan base, they're so fucking gullible. I mean, because there's a reason there's 15 articles on various journalists' websites every single day about Arsenal, because the fans just eat the shit up and they just take it as gospel. And so we have this story now that Alexis stormed out of training and he got in an argument with Ramsey and Koscielny. Koscielny happens to be the captain. Oh wow, that probably not a coincidence. And so now fans are, well, Alexis, he thinks he's bigger than the club. He can just fuck off out of Arsenal. We are Arsenal before Alexis, and we'll be Arsenal after Alexis. And that tells me more than anything that this player is going to be leaving the club this summer. And that, again, will we be okay? I'm sure we will. I'm not saying that it's the end of the world for the club, but I just think it's fun. It's funny how the club handles these situations. Again, not completely passive aggressive, non-confrontational, trying to kind of spin the story as it happens and trying to almost force him out of the club. I think, and it's again, it's like Elliot said, it starts with the manager. It starts even above the manager. There's no clear leadership, and when you get in these situations, these are the things that happens, and things can just spiral out of control, and nobody's there to kind of grab it and take control of it, and that's kind of where we are. So, so that's kind of again, that's the Alexis situation. I think we'll see. I mean, it's hard to say. Even the past few matches, he clearly hasn't been at his best. And so again, will Wenger take a hard line? Will he actually leave him out, or is he going to bench him again and then panic when we're down a goal or two and then bring him on? You can't. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. You're either a full gangster or you're not at all, Arsene. So you kind of.
If there's one person that's going to find a way to walk that line right, it's going to be Arsene Wenger, I think. And
I know.
He's going to put 2 toes in each pond and see which one he likes more for the time being, and then come back to the other one, and then go back to the other one.
That's why I'm not honestly confident that he's going to stick to a 3-man midfield, because you just don't know what's going through his head right now. Perfect example. So Welbeck is injured, right? Or he's not injured. He's ill. So he's taken out of the Bayern lineup. And so you see the front three of it was Welbeck, Alexis, and Theo. So obviously, with that plan, you're thinking of a fast, direct, kind of a counterattacking, play behind the defenders, play into the channels with speed. So you think, okay, Welbeck's taken out of the lineup. The natural replacement on the bench is who? For
Paris.
Welbeck. Paris,
Lucas.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. No, he brings in Giroud.
Which
makes no sense. Switch of
any plan
tactics
that we had. Yeah.
Bayern never saw that one coming. I mean, I'm not. I think Giroud at this point, he looks not. He couldn't get much slower, but he looks a lot more sluggish and slower than he's ever been. I don't know if any you guys have picked up on that. I just think he's not as sharp and quick as he has been in the past. So I think his role has got to be a 20-minute sub guy. But anyways, so Wenger brings him in.
He's also missing freaking gilt-edged chances with some of the. He missed 2 headers. In the match last night that he has to finish.
Again, so it goes to the Wenger's kind of mentality of, if you're not executing and performing, you continue to get starts, which I don't know. Again, he's a professional football manager. We are not. He's won titles. We have not. But you just have to question kind of the basic, common decision making. I think he is failing in. But AJ, bring you in here. So speaking of the man, the boss, the club actually released a statement, which I think all took us by shock, because they don't do that about anything. The chairman of the board, Sir Chips Keswick. I mean, if anybody had a name to sum up how Arsenal's culture is, and that kind of the leader of the club, which is supposedly the chairman of the board, I mean, is Sir Chips Keswick not the perfect fucking name to describe our soft culture that we have? I mean, oh my gosh.
Perfect. We just crumble like a chip. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well done. So anyways, he comes out, he releases a statement, is a statement that doesn't really say anything. He's basically saying, yes, Arsene Wenger is the manager of this club. We're aware of what's going on. They kind of alluded to the protests and to the strife that's happening, outside of the stadium with the fans, but doesn't really say anything that he's going to be our manager for the future. And what did you make of the statement? Or were you reassured? Were you left even scratching your head even more? What did you take from it?
Honestly, just not much. I think like you said, he really didn't say anything in that statement. I think the only thing I got from it is the fact that there was a statement. I mean, like you said, we don't usually get statements from any Arsenal board members or even Stan Kroenke or anybody. So I guess the biggest thing that surprised me was that they actually came out and said something, which I guess does show that our protest that happened before the game and all that kind of stuff is actually being noticed by the club, enough for them to actually be able to come out and say something about it. But yeah, the actual statement itself, he doesn't say anything. He just says, Arsenal has a contract till the end of the season. Any decisions will be made by us mutually and communicated at the right time in the right way. So he's basically just saying us and the board and Wenger will figure it out at a mutual time by the end of the season. But that doesn't really give us any new information.
Yeah, and according to the other various reports, and pretty much they being the club they want Wenger to sign a new they have a new contract that's on his desk, and he's basically just, it's up to him whether he's going to continue to be the manager. So that's a reality of where we are. So it's completely on Wenger's decision whether or not he wants to remain as the manager, and that's troubling to, I think, a lot of people. I mean, my take, and we'll get everyone's take kind of on where we want to see the club go, and especially in relation to the manager. But I love everything he's done for the club. I love him as a man. I think he's class personified in every facet of his every fiber of his body. I honestly believe that. The accomplishments he's done for the club, I think, will never be overshadowed. And he revolutionized English football. He revolutionized Arsenal Football Club. I also think now is a time for change. I'm not gonna hound him out. I'm not gonna say disrespectful things about him. Use bad language towards him. I think two things can be true. You can love and respect everything the man has done for the club, but also want change for what's best for the club right now. So, Elliot, going forward, what are your thoughts on the manager and the future of the club, and where would you want to see the club go?
So I think you have to ask yourself, well, first off, I think it's tricky because in your heart, you feel like he's earned the right to decide his own future, right? But the decisions that have been made this season and in the last few seasons, you think, especially recently, something's like he's either lost the plot, which I'm not so sure about, or he's at least lost the dressing room. And who knows what's going on behind the scenes in terms of the other staff members and what's coming down from the board or from the owner. We're going to talk about that maybe later, but so you have to ask yourself the question, like, does he have because of his history with the club, and as a manager, as a man, does he earn the right to make his own decision? I think yes. I think we've talked about this before. It should be his decision. He's obviously getting a lot of heat, and I'm not sure, is this the most heat that he's ever felt with his job? What do you guys think?
I think so. I think it's been bad since about 2012-ish, but I think, and even 2 years ago, right after the FA Cup, when everybody thought he would just walk out after that win, I think it was a pretty bad time then. But I think this is definitely the worst time. Just the amount of protests, the amount of riots. But I kind of disagree with you on the fact that it should be his decision. I know he's done ample amounts of things for the club, and he has made the club where it is now, or where it is now is because of him. There's no denying that. But I don't know. For me, there are people who are his boss, that should be his boss, and that should be able to make the decision if they don't think it's enough time for him. Obviously, they've put this 2-year contract down, but the thing is if he's not signed it, if they think that these protests are getting too insane for them, or they just don't think that he's the man for the job anymore, I think that they should be able to just kind of pull the plug and be like, look, sorry, I know we did put out this 2-year contract for you, but it's not working out. Fans aren't happy. We aren't really happy, and we're going to have to do something about it. Because if it's all on Wenger, I think Wenger would stay for 10 years if he could. I think he said in his press conference, oh, yeah, like, I'll take into consideration the fans, but it's not the biggest.
It's not the decision. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the decisive factor for him, but I think I think if he doesn't sign the contract, I think that was the decisive factor, was that he lost too many fans' respect.
I look at it as I think he wants more than anybody the club to succeed and win championships again. I just don't think he's equipped anymore to implement the necessary tactics, the necessary transfers, the necessary locker room inspiration to do that anymore.
Yeah,
but if you leave it up to him, he's going to think, this is his life's project, his life's passion,
his life's work. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to want to, it's like saying to an author who's been working on his masterpiece for decades, right? And he's close to finishing the last section of the book, but he just doesn't have it anymore. He just doesn't have the mind for it. He just doesn't have the drive or the tools necessary to finish it and turn, make that masterpiece a living thing. And at some point you have to let it go, and you have to. Problem is, if there's no pressure for him to walk away, to step away, he's going to continue to think, no, I can do this. I can do that. I just need more time. I need more of this. I need it's a few other players, or but again, we lost 5-1 to Bayern, and he's talking about the referees. I mean, or no, we lost 10-2. We didn't lose because of the referees, Arsene. I mean, I know what you're saying about the harsh red card, but that's not the problem with this team right now, is the referees. And so no. I just don't think he's equipped anymore to make those championship winning decisions to get us to that level.
Yeah, and the thing is, the problem is that I don't think it's like he's all of a sudden forgotten how football works and he has no tactics whatsoever and it doesn't understand football. The thing is it's almost like, to use your author analogy, it's almost like he's just been on the typewriter this whole time. He's been on the typewriter, and then somebody comes up to him and he's like, "Yo, dude, it's 2017. Use a fucking computer." Mm-hmm. It's like like I know you like he understands how computers work and everything. But he's just like, no, typewriter is the correct way to be actually typing. The keys feel nicer or whatever. But it's just like he's too stuck in his ways, too stubborn, and it feels like the more he screws up, the more stubborn he gets. Because the more it's like, well, I have to show them. Look, I've screwed up for 10 years now. I have to show people that my way is the right way. And it's like, dude, just accept. You should have accepted after a few years that your way of trying to build a club where we don't spend any money, and we try to build our team through these young players, that obviously didn't work out. He's now only in 2013, when he spent money on Ozil, where it was basically gifted to him, did he finally realize, oh, I should start spending bigger amounts of money, So I think the problem is it just takes too long for him to figure out how to catch up with the times.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think you look at, we've heard it all before, the transfers of players. Well, we wanted to buy Conte, we wanted to buy Mahrez, we wanted to buy Mbappe last summer. It's all these, we wanted to do it, but he just, again, he's too late. He's not quick enough in today's modern game to adapt and to make the necessary changes. And it's like, listen, perfect example. I just got off the phone with my dad, right? He's 63 years old. My dad's stubborn as hell, as most, our parents or grandparents are, right? They're not going to change once they're at that age, especially this guy's had success at the highest level. So of course he's going to think his way is still the right way because he has had success with it. It's just not working in today's game. And I don't think he quite sees that or quite wants to admit that. And if he doesn't, and he's going to keep going, I fear that anything is going to change in terms of the results on the field. But
yeah, and I feel like he's also somewhat of a visionary, that the vision came and went a little bit, and he's kind of grasping for a little bit of, I think internally, he's grasping for direction. And part of me wants to make like a George Lucas type analogy for all you Star Wars fans out there, because I'm a big Star Wars guy. But he had the original trilogy, came in, gangbustered it. He set up this whole entire universe. He set up Arsenal Football Club, in the late 90s, early 2000s, to be this, grand vision and this, progressive vision of where football was going. And then once football caught up to him, he's like, okay, let's keep doing what we're doing, but then now, okay, let's drastically change it and do something different and try and reinvent ourselves, but in a way that was behind the times in some ways. You know what I mean?
And you need help. Like if any good project, like this guy's had no help. Partly that's his own fault because he's taken on so much of the, the scouting, the transfer negotiations, the just every facet of the club. But like, for a good movie, if you have a brilliant director but a horrible writing staff, it's going to be a shit movie. You need a brilliant director, you need brilliant writers, you need brilliant set design, cinematographer, casting. You need a whole working team together to modernize it and make sure it's, there's different opinions, there's different outlooks, and we haven't had that really since, you could make the argument, since David Dean left the club. Yeah. And I think that's where we're stuck behind. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of seeing Wenger talk about, especially the Kylian Mbappe from Monaco. Yeah, we wanted to get him last summer. I don't want to hear that. Because how is that? What does that mean? What does that even mean? Why does that matter? That we try to get a player, we try to sign a player, but we didn't. Now he's going to go for 65 million to Madrid or PSG. So fucking what? Like how does that help the club by you saying we tried to sign this player? But that's the mentality. Well, we're close. It's not good enough anymore. You have to go get shit done. The best clubs, they go and they seek out the players they want. They seek out the coaches they want, and they just get it done. They don't talk about it. They don't hype themselves up. This is our plan. This is what we want to do. They just fucking get the job done. I mean, look at Bayern Munich as an absolute, well-oiled machine. They don't fuck around with transfers. They get players.
They get it early.
They get players 2 months before the transfer window even opens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Juventus same way. They're pretty much signed Corentin Tolisso from Lyon. It's March, and that's pretty much a done deal. And then the guy is 11 league goals, 21 years old. Like they don't fuck about, and we don't have. Again, where does that responsibility fall on? Well, it should be from the top bottom or from the top down, but really there's nobody above Wenger to make sure that these things get done, right? And transfers and player contracts. It's another thing going to AJ. I mean, Alexis, Ozil, Chamberlain. Now we got reports that apparently Chamberlain is looking to leave the club. Because again, and if I don't think that's true, I don't think a quote came from him. I think I said in the WhatsApp group, I think that's really agent talk to sound out interest from other clubs. Like let me put out a klaxon of my client is leaving. Who's gonna call? Who's gonna text me first? Right? Is it Pep? Is it Conte? Who really wants him? And then go from there. But you know what? There's no way your top players should have a year left on their contract. That's just negligent. How does this get fixed, AJ? And who's responsible for making sure the core squad just doesn't fall apart and completely leave?
Well, the thing is if we had, a chief negotiator, whatever that position would be called, who was the person who was in charge of contracts and all that stuff, I would say them. Maybe it would be a director of football or whoever. But the thing is it's Wenger controls everything. So it's Wenger is the only way that I would guess, or the only person who I'd put it on to why we haven't signed these contracts yet is because he probably is overseeing the contract negotiations, and he's saying, ooh, 250 for Sanchez, 250 for Ozil, like that's a little pricey. I don't know if we can do that. And the thing is like, I know he's an economics major, but it's like, dude, you gotta do their job, and like you should just be happy that we're trying to re-sign these players. You shouldn't care about how much money we're spending on them, because you would rather have Alexis and Meza in your team. And looking at this lineup of people whose contracts are ending in 2018, June 2018. So it's, like you said, Alexis, Ozil, Chamberlain. And we also have Ramsey and Kieran Gibbs on there. And then to lesser note, and Jenkinson, which, I think we can, one's old and one's shit. So we can kind of not worry about that as much. But yeah, I mean, that there are 5 players of notable first team quality, at least in the squad right now, that have 15 months left on their contract, and we still haven't sorted out what we're going to do. So yeah, I would just blame it on Wenger, but I mean, we have to get it done before June. Like, we have to get it done before this season ends.
All right. Quick question. Kind of getting back to Wenger. this is part of our well, Ryan, let me ask you a question first. Are we going to do some questions at a little bit later?
Yeah, let's
after fire.
No, let's get right into that right now.
Okay. So my first question, it's about AW here. So if I were to ask you guys, Ryan and AJ, if Arsenal Football Club could replace Arsene with a top flight manager, now we're talking, whoever's available, but I mean, we'd probably go out and get someone, right? Like this is like a Luis Enrique, or this is whoever you want to say, but like a top flight manager. But Arsenal, if we got this manager, was guaranteed to miss out on the Champions League or the top 4 for the next 2 seasons after acquiring the manager. Would you do it?
It's a tough.
Yeah, go ahead, AJ.
I was just gonna say, I think it's a tough one because I mean, you don't really want to drop out of that top 4, but if it's just for 2 seasons, and as long as we're not getting 10th or something, like we're getting 5th or 6th, I think I would, because I think we just want something different. I think we're tired of seeing the same things over and over again, and at this point, it doesn't even there's no guarantee we're gonna get in the top 4 with Wenger, which has been a pretty easy guarantee, at least for most of the 20 years he's been here, but it's just not even guaranteed for this year, and it's likely that we won't even. So yeah, I think I would.
I don't think those two are mutually exclusive. I mean, I know that's not what you said. Yeah, I know it's not what you said, Elliot, but I think, and again, look at Chelsea this season. They went from 10th to title winners, and I think the difference between this squad and some needed additions, without a doubt, I don't think we're that far away from that type of turnaround. And I'm not saying I demand or we have to win the title. I mean, we're not privileged to get that or guaranteed that, but just I'm talking about competing for titles, not losing 10-2.
Yeah, we're not competing right now. No,
we're just not competing. We're just floating along. We're barely treading water at this point. I mean, now again, perspective. Our crisis, our meltdown, is 5th place, 2 points out of 4th with a game in hand, and probably an FA Cup semifinal on the horizon. So again, perspective taking place, it ain't that bad, right? It's not.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, we see the potential, and it could and should be a lot better. So, and if we're, I know you didn't ask for a name, but I'm going to give you my name just while we're talking about it, and it's Leonardo Jardim from Monaco for me.
Brings over Mbappe with him,
Yeah, I mean, I would take about 6 or 7 of those Monaco players right now. That's obviously not going to happen. Hopefully, we can get 1 or 2. But I just think in terms of his ability to develop young talent, he's got a clear, attacking, aggressive style of play. That's what this club needs. This club needs an infusion of energy, a new identity, a new philosophy, and again, with their scouting resources, their ability to pluck young talent and develop them, and also to obviously with the Arsenal resources, you'll have money to spend. I think that's a great combination. I could be wrong, but I look at somebody who's going to bring that kind of that attacking, exciting brand of football back to the Emirates. I think that's what we need.
Amen. All right. So one more question from me. So who had the worst Champions League ending? So end of their Champions League campaign. Arsenal, who got completely outclassed over 2 legs by Bayern Munich, 10-2 on aggregate, or PSG, who had a masterclass away at Barca, and then who followed it up with a
you flip that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Home win, home masterclass against Barca, and then go to Barca and have one of the biggest bottle jobs in history. Who had a worse end to their Champions League dreams?
I think you got to go PSG just solely on. I think you look at expectations. That the pressure on Unai Emery, what was to again compete for a Champions League crown. The kind of Liga is kind of a side priority for them. So the expectations, and then obviously the expectations going into the second leg. I I mean, listen, if there's one team who could have done that, it would have been Barcelona with their firepower. But my God, I mean, absolute choke job. I mean everything. They had poor refereeing decisions. It had amazing goals. It had calamitous goals. I've never seen anything like that. That gap to overcome, and then that amount. Barcelona had to score 3 goals from the 88th minute on, and they did. I mean, that's like Cavani scores, and now Barcelona's got to score 6. They got to beat him 6-1. So you're like, all right, it's over, right? That crucial away goal just kills it, and then there's Neymar, strolls up to the free kick, just drills that in. Then you had the penalty, and then of course then PSG were just so shook. It was just incredible. So I think the sheer magnitude of the bottle job, PSG had it worse for me.
Yeah,
for me. Yeah, I would still say Arsenal's is worse, because the thing is I understand the idea of your idea that PSG, the big thing they wanted Unai Emery to do this season was make it big in the Champions League. Either get to a semifinal, get to a final, because the thing is they haven't really cracked that yet in the past few years, and they're almost always going to win the French Ligue 1, which is even now under question. So I would still say it's Arsenal, because look, I know PSG obviously did end up losing 6-1, but I mean, if we're just looking straight at the English teams right now, it doesn't seem like any big teams lose these huge results, and especially twice in a row, 5-1 and 5-1. I mean, seeing that 10-2 aggregate was absolutely awful. I mean,
last season too, it's 5-1.
Last season too. I mean, look, we make fun of Liverpool, and granted, I don't remember every single Liverpool result, but Liverpool haven't been, besides that one season with Suarez, they haven't been in the top 4 for 10 years, let's say, something like that. But I don't think I've ever seen them lose by 5, 6, 7 goals, which we have when we lost 8-2 against United, 6-0 against Chelsea, 5-1 here, 5-1 here, 5-1 here. And it's like we're the only one of the so-called bigger teams that just always seems to just fall apart and calamitously collapse in all these games. So I would still say it's Arsenal.
That's the sad part, is like us getting thumped 5-1 in both matches. Like it's not even upsetting, because like we've seen it so many times. Like Chelsea 6-0, City 6-0, United 8-2, Liverpool 5-1. I mean, I've lost track of the amount of times we've just been utterly embarrassed in big matches, and that. So definitely, Arsenal result is just flat out embarrassing, because it's like varsity versus JV. I mean, it's like, come on. So it's not even fair.
Especially when it's matches that are somewhat close and are in the balance for a good 50 minutes of them, or 60 minutes of them, and then it's like 3 goals within a span of 7, and these are goals that are farcical to watch, like easy giveaways, and then just like strolling in on the keeper.
With Koscielny on the pitch, we led 2-1 on aggregate against Bayern.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. But the thing is that's just how we play. Our ups are super up, and our downs are super down. If you think about it,
players are soft as fuck because they. Well,
quit. Yeah, their players. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of the biggest factors to it. But I mean, the thing is when we score a lot in a game, and when we look good, it is in those small 10, 15-minute gaps where we just pound teams. But it goes the other way too. When we let in 1 or 2 goals, all of a sudden, next thing you know, 5-1 after we were 1-0 up.
Yeah, it's again, you're spot on, Elliot. It speaks to the softness and the lack of a toughness in the culture of the team, that is they're just completely unable to handle adversity and things going against them, and they just fall apart. They just go crawl into their safe space, and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, and if you were watching some of the body language out there, granted, like I have no idea what it's like to be standing in front of 65,000 of home supporter, and being on TV in front of millions or whatever, and have that kind of display, where, the goals are being walked in on you. But I mean, God, it just looked like Mustafi and Bellerin and Coquelin, and Ozil, God, have backbone, just buck up,
There's no leadership there. Everyone's kind of looking to everyone else for instruction and
for a pick me up.
And a sense of direction. It doesn't come from the manager, doesn't come from any of the players, doesn't come from them as a group, and that's what you get. Look at Barcelona. They were down and out, right? 3-1, 88th minute.
Mm-hmm.
Did they kind of feel sorry for themselves and quit and start yelling at each other? No, Neymar picks the fucking ball up. He twats it in from 35 yards, and then you go, all right, now we believe. Now we go. We keep going. And they win the match. I mean, that's what the best teams do. They have that identity. They have that belief. At any minute, they can turn this game around and win it. And we are so far away from that.
And just one more thing about the PSG match. I don't know if you guys saw this stat on Squawka, but they tweeted this out earlier today or maybe last night. But after the 85th minute in that match yesterday, PSG completed 4 passes.
How many?
In the final 10 minutes of the match,
Yeah.
They completed 4.
And
3 of them were kickoffs.
Yeah. That is so bad.
That is brutal.
It was sad. I mean, I went to one of their matches in Paris, and they have a great squad to watch. I love a lot of their players individually. That was just, and especially Barcelona. Like, I'm sorry, they're brilliant, and Neymar is brilliant, and Messi obviously, but Suarez is such a dirty, diving, cheating prick that it was hard to actually enjoy that moment, even though it was a spectacular comeback. UEFA Lona, they got their guys in, they got their guys through. So, what else is new? Bayern, Madrid, Barcelona. Pick 2 of those 3. They'll be in the final.
Yeah, it's.
That wasn't a question. That was
okay.
That's what UEFA wants. I didn't frame that well, but
yeah.
Anyways,
do we want to go on to listener questions?
I think we have listener questions.
Yeah, I'm down.
AJ, you want to hit these?
I'll hit these. All right. So we got for our first listener question, we got it from your boy Kyle in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
And he asks, can you give Van Persie his legs back? Like, oh fuck, I can't even read this.
Lieutenant, I got you.
You got it.
Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, obviously.
Okay.
So he can score 30 for us. Arsenal needs a true goal scorer once and for all. Who? When? How? Tell me a solution.
Preach, Kyle. Preach. That's all I'm going to say. By the way, Kyle's my college roommate and bestie in Arizona. So shout out to Kyle.
Bear down, Kyle. Basically, the question is, who is going to be that striker that is our prolific 25, 30 goal scorer a season? AJ, who do you think? Is it anyone in the club, first of all, or is it somebody we need to buy?
No, it's nobody in the club. I think
that's an easy.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I think we're not including Alexis in this conversation. No. Then nobody in the squad, I don't think, is capable of scoring that many goals at that consistent of a level. There were periods 5 years ago where we maybe thought Walcott could get there, but he's 27, 28 now. He's not going to get there. So who would we bring in to be that striker that gets 30 goals a season?
You're the head of the Arsenal transfer committee. You sign off on every transfer. You get the final word. Who are you? You have one striker that you need to buy this summer. Who is that man? On the spot, go.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a little out there or if we would actually be able to pull it off just because he's been touted of going to Man United. But Griezmann, I think would be the one because he's totally flourished the last 2 years playing in that central striker role compared to his when he used to play on the wing a lot more. But I think he would add that dynamic kind of change that we've been wanting for Arsenal since we've had Giroud in the team for 5 years. So he'd be the guy for me. But would he come after seeing these 5-1s in a row and wherever we end up in the league? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good shout.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Also, my question, I mean, it's kind of, Kyle, I think one of the questions is like, who realistically are we talking about here? I mean, it's sad to say, but that's kind of the state of affairs. I mean, if you get a commitment from Alexis to return, if you get maybe Ozil to come back, if you get a new manager and that's going to play an attacking brand of football, I think we could attract a really highly touted player. But I mean, are they a 30 goal scorer type player? Because there's not many of those guys around in the world, you know.
Yeah, I would go for I would love Cavani. I think again, there's so many variables, right? Like, do our two best players, are they still there? Because that's obviously going to impact whether or not we get elite level talent who want to come play at the club. They don't want to. You know what? They don't want to play with Francis Coquelin and Carl Jenkinson. They want to play with Alexis and Ozil, those types of players. Mm-hmm. So Cavani, I think, his movement is probably the best up front in all of Europe. And listen, the guy scores goals. I know people thought he chokes, he doesn't finish. That's nonsense. The numbers just don't agree with that. So if not Cavani, who may not, why would he want to leave Paris? Probably ask that. That's a fair point. I think Alexandre Lacazette would be my next choice.
I bought him in FIFA, so he's done pretty well for me in FIFA. So
yeah, I think that is obviously the indicator.
I rest my case. I mean, AJ, I think yes, Griezmann, I think would be that guy. My concern with any player, really, not just center forwards, but anybody that the big boys are going to be after, the Uniteds, the Chelseas, the Cities, the Bayerns. If they want to get him, I don't think we have a chance. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even saying that as like they won't want to come to Arsenal, but we're not going to offer the wages that are going to come anywhere near those other clubs. But I think Lacazette is a perfect kind of Goldilocks zone type player where the club want to sell him. He's going to cost probably anywhere between 35, 45 million. Is he worth that? Is anybody worth that? I mean, nobody's worth what you pay anymore. That's just the way it is. But again, the guy scores goals. He's got really good movement. He's played out wide, so he knows kind of how to run into channels. He knows when to drop deep a bit. I like the player a lot, and he's kind of just starting to hit his prime. Still quite young. I think it ticks all the boxes for me.
Yeah,
I like
definitely agree. All right, let's go to the next listener question then. It's from Tokyo Gooner, so thank you, Tokyo Gooner, for sending that in. And he asks, if everyone in the current squad is fit, lol, like that would be the case. But yeah, if everybody in the squad is fit, what's the best starting 11 for you?
I'll take this one. So I think it's got to be Cech in goal. As much as I want to pick Ospina, I think he's just not consistent enough. And Cech at least commands somewhat respect in the box. Hector, little soft Bambi, right back because we have no one else. Mustafi and Koscielny. Monreal versus Gibbs. I think I go Monreal there. And then I think we talked about it. I think this team needs to start playing a different brand of football, and I think a three-man midfield is going to give them I think that's going to give them structure, and I think it's going to put Xhaka in his best position as a number 6 and then have 2 roaming number 8s. And right now, whoever's fit would be Chamberlain and Ramsey as the number 8s paired with Xhaka in the midfield. And then I think you go left wing, you go either Perez I think left wing you probably go left wing you go Sanchez, Welbeck up top, and Perez or Walcott on the right. And I mean, you're leaving out Ozil there, but
yeah, I think you got to squeeze in Ozil somewhere. But maybe Ozil on the wing, and then Well,
and Alexis up
Alexis
top.
as the other, as the other two.
Yeah, and then you have Walcott and Perez off the bench probably.
Yeah. Any differences?
I agree with that pretty much. I think you got to try and play Ozil in the left or right as part of the front three. And you know what? He's not going to track back. He's not going to defend. You know what? We don't fucking track back and defend with our wingers anyways.
Yeah.
So you might as well have one of the best passers and visionaries with the ball in the squad, because and you say, well, he's not a winger. Well, you know what? It doesn't really matter if he gets in those spaces out wide. That's where you need a clinical, someone who can thread those through balls into runners or pick out the cutbacks that quite frankly Alex Iwobi and Theo Walcott, they can't do. So I'm not that I don't care about defending, but like we're not a good defensive unit. We're not set up to defend well right now. So let's get all of our best technical 11 players on the field and just go for it. And if we give up 2 or 3 goals and score 4, fine. Like I'm okay with that. And I'd rather have us lose and play enjoyable football than to lose and be boring as hell.
Yeah, and the thing is with Ozil on the wing is, I obviously it's clearly not his best position. But the thing is with Alexis, we gave up too quick 2 seasons ago when we signed him, and we played him up top for 2-3 games. Didn't like it. Took him out of the firing line for a bit, and then played him on left wing, and then he was amazing. But then we tried it again this season, playing him up front, and we saw how amazing he actually could be in that striker role. So I think we've tried twice with Ozil, but we've only on the wing, but we've only actually tried him in 2 or 3 games. So maybe give him a little bit more of a consistent run.
He's played there for Germany and excelled, obviously. And listen, there's a lot of football left to be played. The season's still a long way to go. Who knows? Maybe you play Alexis and Ozil next to each other out through the middle and out wide, and maybe they hit a purple patch, and then Alexis, listen, all it takes is a few wins and a few good matches of form, and a player changes his mentality completely. Now he's happy again. Now he says, oh, you know what? Maybe we have something here. I like playing with Ozil out wide. I like this 3-man midfield. I get a lot of support. I get a lot of service. Add a few pieces. All right, I can see this still being salvageable. You never know. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't expect good things to happen with this current squad anymore. But I think there's a chance of that. And I think if Arsene has one trick left in his sleeve, that it's to go to this formation and just kind of go for it. And I hope he does it. I hope, for the sake of him, for the sake of the players and the supporters who go watch matches. I think everyone wants and needs to see that change.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that he has to make this change now to the 4-3-3. I think we've seen in glimpses here and there this season, when we have played with that system, with the right players in that system, that it can definitely be a positive way going forward. All right, looking onto the last listener question, also from Tokyo Gunner. So thank you again for sending in 2 questions, double fold. And he said, for the second question, what would you do at first if you became the next Arsenal manager? Elliot, let's go to you first.
So if I had to do just one... Oh, did you say Elliot? I didn't hear you.
No, you're good. You're good. I was kind of stuttering either way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, so the question, you only do one thing, the first thing, or like
just the first thing. I mean, you can have a little series. Yeah, you can have a little series of stuff.
I think it's upgrade the squad with transfers. I think that ultimately is what wins teams titles, is talent. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, many variables that go into teams winning titles, but albeit with the exception of Leicester last year, which clearly we can see that was an anomaly. The most talented teams win titles. That's just a fact. And so we need an upgrade in midfield. We need a dynamic central midfielder to play in a 3. In addition to what we already have. And we need a striker, as we mentioned. And I also think we need to upgrade our left back. I think we need strong competition, and possibly an upgrade at right back as well.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Elliot.
Good transfers.
My first thing is, we alluded to it earlier, but I think whoever the next manager, or if I was manager, I would get myself a chief lieutenant that was able to, well, I would get myself a lieutenant in the boardroom, and I get myself a lieutenant on the pitch, because you've seen a lot of top flight managers that have supporting coaching staffs and supporting, obviously, transfer market dealings. So with someone in the boardroom. So I think, creating a culture off the pitch where it's cutthroat, and we're going to bring in players, and we're going to sign players that are going to compete in the squad. And I think it starts from how the manager conducts his own business. And if he has a team around him that's going to help him build a team, a squad, and a support staff around him that's going to be putting it out there on the line and saying we're going to get players that are going to compete. And I think that's the way to do it. So it's kind of 1A, 1B with Ryan's.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. I think both of those things have to be, if we were the next Arsenal manager. I think those are two things that have to happen when the new Arsenal manager eventually does come in. All right, do we want to move on to the preview for the Lincoln game?
Yeah.
All right, so just to start off, then, what do you guys think will be our lineup, and what do you think you guys would prefer to do for our lineup for that game?
Who knows what Arsenal will do?
Seriously.
But
I think we got to go. I'd like to see us our absolute strongest 11.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell knows? Is because everyone is sick now. Apparently, I mean, fucking they've never heard of emergency at London Colney. Everyone's got this sickness that they can't contain. I mean, only at Arsenal, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, like can't contain a fucking head cold. My God, no. But I mean, listen. Here's the thing: Lincoln's coming in. They think they can win. They even said in interviews, some of their players, they think the toxic supporter environment inside the Emirates will help them get a result on Saturday. So, and listen, they're I know they're non-league. They're top of the league. They've beat Burnley. They've beat Leeds already. They're not going to come in afraid. They play a kind of an attacking style of play. So they're gonna come at us. I think we need to send a message, get some confidence back, and if we can pump 5 or 6 goals past them, and kind of get some of our verve back, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, and the thing is this game isn't sandwiched like the Sutton was between a Liverpool and 2 Bayerns on either side. The thing is we have West Brom a week after that, so I think we're kind of slowing down in the number of games we have now since we're approaching the end of the season. So, yeah. Elliot, what would your lineup be then for that game?
Yeah, I mean, you have to play a strong squad. I think Ospina starts in goal. You might see some rotation. You might see Gibbs play instead of Monreal. You might see Mertesacker play instead of Mustafi or Koscielny. But I think midfield's got to be Chamberlain, got to be Ramsey, and probably Xhaka. So I think those 3 play. I think the most interesting thing will be to see whether or not Ozil and Sanchez play. Sanchez, who knows what Arsenal might do? He might rest him for the first 45, or quote unquote, fine, or not fine him, but suspend him for the first half, or who knows what the heck he's going to do. But I would hate to not. I mean, I think a strong lineup. I think you can still play a guy like Perez. I think he has to play. I mean, he just needs to get some kind of match,
Yeah,
in him.
He'll start. He'll start, I think.
Yeah. So, and I definitely do not want to see Giroud. I would much rather see a Perez, Welbeck, Sanchez front 3, or an Ozil, Welbeck, Lucas front 3, something like that.
Yeah, Lucas or Perez, either way, one of them. Yeah, but no, I think I agree. I think for my front 3, it would be something like. Yeah. It would be something like Lucas, Welbeck, and probably either Sanchez or even a Walcott in on that right wing, because I don't know if Wenger's going to risk. I don't think he'll play Ozil, and then I think you're right in that he'll do the little Sanchez, you're on the bench, and if we need you at halftime or at any point in the second half, we'll bring you on.
Hey, everyone be prepared, though, for when the team sheet comes out. and Coquelin is paired with Ramsey in midfield, and Chamberlain is starting right winger.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. And Iwobi's at number 10. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Oh, Iwobi. Okay, actually, okay, I would have Iwobi come in.
No.
On the wing.
No.
Iwobi,
Get him out of here.
Lucas.
He's got
back.
Iwobi's just got to be shut down for the rest of the season. I like the kid.
Put the 45 back on.
He's
No,
you
but
know,
this is the type of game you can afford to
No.
play, man.
no, because here's what's going to
we
happen.
hate Iwobi.
You play Iwobi, and he does well against Lincoln. He's going to bring him in against West Brom.
Whoa,
You know that.
okay. No, I don't. Me, this is like personal decision. Just on the individual game, I bring Iwobi in for Lincoln, and then I don't play him against West Brom. Obviously, Wenger is different and will do his own things, but I think I would like to start kind of making sure Iwobi's not in the team every single time and every single game. But I think against Lincoln, this would be the opportunity for him to get a start. But is there anything else we need to cover, or are we about good? Are we about wrapped up?
I'm feeling.
I think that does it, doesn't it, boys? Yeah.
I think that does it.
I think we go on to Lincoln Saturday in the FA Cup, and we'll probably be back to discuss that result, I think, for next week's pod. And so I just want to, again, huge thank you to footballheads.com. That's our new title sponsor, and that's football with a U and a O in the ball, and a Z at the end instead of an S. So FUTBOLHEADZ.com. Check out Football
Can't
Heads.
tell, but they got dank hats. Let me tell you.
They do have dank hats. We all three of us have one each of their dankest of selection of hats.
They're dank.
And no, seriously, they do make really good, high quality stuff. Really neat, slick designs. And they will have your favorite club. If your club is Arsenal, which it probably is because you're listening, go check it out. They have a dope Invincibles range. So check them out, Football Heads. Thank you again for their support. And thank you, our fellow listeners, for sticking with us and having the patience. We're sorry we took a break, but we are back, and we are going to get back on a consistent level of potting. So AJ, Elliott, anything else, or you guys can take us out?
No, yeah, just thank you for having me on, and it was a good talk with you guys. So as always.
And as always, we the Gunners. Peace.